I think it's well known how soulless video game companies can be, absolutely not caring about creativity, joy, or actually making a good game. Most of them only care about making money. Do anything so you can get bigger dollar sign, even if that means releasing unfinished games or just releasing games that just don't work in general. I swear, the amount of games that release these days that just come broken or filled to the brim with bugs is just insane. So when you see a game company who actually wants to make a good game, you tend to go and support them, especially when it comes to indie developers. Well, one company wanted to really join that list of companies that gamers absolutely dislike, and that is Nexon. You probably don't know who those people are, and I don't blame you. Those are the people who make MapleStory, and that seems like the only notable thing that they've done, and they have now targeted the developers of Dark and Darker. Now, Dark and Darker is an extremely popular game, and a game that has been absolutely blowing up lately. A lot of people have been talking about it and playing the game, and it's one game that I sadly haven't been able to play in the game that I really wanted to get into. Looks like a very fun and enjoyable time. It is an extraction-based game, which is usually a genre of game that I absolutely dislike. But this one actually looks very interesting to me because it is one of those games based in medieval times, so people are using like swords and bows and stuff, and it looks like a lot of fun. Well, sadly, I may not be able to play that game because they are currently being attacked by Nexon. Basically, to explain the claims, Nexon was working on a game known as P2, a game that they say is very similar to Dark and Darker. An employee who was working on P2 ended up talking about leaving the company and wanted to start his own company to expand on the ideas of P2. Well, that employee ended up getting fired, and then fast forward a couple of months later, Dark and Darker ended up releasing, which Nexon is basically attacking them, saying that they stole the idea of the game, they stole code, and they stole assets. If you see gameplay of Darker Darker, or if you actually play the game, you will know that the game is really filled with a lot of the Unreal Store assets, which is something absolutely fine when it comes to indie games. Most indie game developers will usually do this because obviously making your own assets and doing your own thing takes a very long time. So as in the middle of they're doing that, they'll usually fill their games to the rim with Unreal asset stuff, just so that can be there, and then when their own items are done, they go and replace it. This is something very common with indie games, especially someone like me who plays a lot of indie games. You see this a lot. Well, Nexus wasn't happy about that because they ended up escalated it so far where they even had a police raid the studio, and the police found absolutely nothing, just, indie game developers doing hard work. I don't know what Nexon really expected. Did they expect them to take out like Metrox or something? He was gonna like open portal to the Vex domain and see literally everything on what this company is doing, see if they're gonna find like any kind of dirt and be like, yeah. But Nexon still wasn't happy about that because just a couple hours ago, they ended up taking the game off Steam. They ended up sending the good old cease and desist, and now Dark and Darker is off Steam. Now, obviously, the developers had said a statement about them saying that they didn't steal the idea of Nexon unreleased games, and they also said that most assets made for the game is rather custom-made assets or from the Unreal Store. Now, this is a claim to me really makes no sense. It seems like Nexon is really stretching the idea really, really far, seeing something that does seem similar to something that you came up with and saying that, yep, this man instantly steal it. It's just something that makes no sense to me because this is really something that anyone could do with literally any scenario. Like any survivor game could come out and any company could just start screaming, hey, I had an idea for a survival game too, and your survival game has a pickaxe? He obviously absolutely stole the idea. And what were they gonna go by? Like, were they seeing gameplay of the game and they saw a box and they're like, that box looked very similar to a box that I created. They probably had to go and take it. It does also help that the more you look into it, the less sense it even makes. Why would a company like Nexon even do this? Because to me and to a lot of people, it kind of looks like the company's just pissed off that they let this very good idea go to waste. They made a game that looks kind of similar to Dark and Darker, but they dropped it, and then Dark and Darker goes to succeed, becomes mega successful, and they're like, no, I was supposed to be the one doing success, so I'm gonna DMC you. And it looks like the company is gonna commit to doing legal battle, and since one company is way more bigger and have millions of dollars to get thrown to this, and the indie company is an indie company, it looks like they're trying to like suck them dry out of all their money. Now, I think the whole saddest part about this is Dark and Darker. Now, I currently don't know if the game is still being developed right now or if the game stopped, but I really do hope the developers can pull true and hopefully continue developing the game because this is a game again that I really want to play. I see a lot of people playing this game and I felt like I was missing out, so I wanted to jump in the next one, and then I ended up checking news of the game and I'm hearing this absolutely terrible situation is happening. Now, when it comes to this and most legal situations, obviously the best thing to do is just wait. Let's wait until this whole cease and desist thing go. Let's see how it goes. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think Dark and Darker has stole the idea of P2. I'm pretty sure this is just a complete completely original idea that they wanted to come up with, and they're just working their hardest to get it out. Because I do just see this as extremely weird, especially the timing. You wait for the game to be like extremely big and super duper popular to now finally start pointing your finger and going like, this is my idea, how dare you take my idea, and then send like this cease and desist and stuff. It's just sad to see a company like this, Nexon, just absolutely bullying this smaller indie developer. It's clearly just here trying to make a game. And one thing that a lot of people was bringing up is that this reminds me a lot of that one situation back in the day with PlayerUnknown's Battleground and Fortnite. Back then when the Battle Royale craze first ended up started, basically PUBG was on top. That was the #1 game that everyone was playing. But then out of nowhere, Fortnite came. Fortnite ended up getting really popular extremely fast and ended up becoming the absolute giant that it is now. And PUBG was absolutely not having that at all. They were so pissed off that I think they wanted to go and attack Fortnite, saying that they stole their idea. And everyone's saying the obvious thing is that you just can't steal a whole genre of game all because someone else is making another extraction-based game. You can't go like, I own that whole game genre. History truly does repeat itself because it seems like this is happening again. This is just a situation that I wanted to talk about. My name is Lula. You have a good day or night. See ya.